Ever get that feeling like someone's, just totally captivated by you, even if they haven't like actually said anything?
Hmm.
Well, that's what we're diving deep into today. Like all those the silent language of attraction, all those little signs that someone's really, truly interested.
Right.
We've got some pretty fascinating research and observations lined up. So get ready to decode those unspoken messages.
Yeah, it's funny. We always seem to put so much emphasis on those big gestures or like what people actually say. But attraction, it's often in those super subtle things, those nonverbal cues, the things we might not even realize we're sending or picking up on even.
Exactly. And get this, one study, it actually found that over 90% of communication, it's nonverbal.
Wow.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So if we can understand those cues, I mean, it could completely change how we approach relationships, right?
Totally.
So first up, let's talk about eye contact.
Oh, yeah.
Our sources, they describe eyes as like windows to the soul. And honestly, kind of true. Have you ever noticed how intense it feels when someone really holds your gaze?
Oh, absolutely. It goes way beyond just being polite, It's like
Yeah.
when someone holds your gaze for an extended time, it shows real engagement, like a desire to actually connect. And what's really fascinating is that it creates this feedback loop.
Oh.
Yeah, holding someone's gaze and having them hold it right back, it can actually make the attraction stronger for both people.
Wow.
It's like this silent acknowledgement, hey, I see you and I'm definitely interested.
Ooh, it's like a spark, right?
Yes.
And here's where it gets even more interesting. Apparently, when we're attracted to someone, our pupils, they actually dilate.
Yeah,
It's totally involuntary, subconscious signal. We can't even control it.
It's amazing how much our bodies can reveal without us even realizing it.
Right. So, yeah, everyone out there, pay attention to those pupils.
Yeah, good advice.
Now, speaking of subconscious signals, let's move on to body language.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a goldmine of information when it comes to attraction.
Yeah.
Our sources, they really highlight how important open and engaged posture is.
Mm-hmm.
So think like leaning in, arms uncrossed, shoulders facing you directly.
Right.
It's almost like their body is saying, come closer.
Yeah.
I'm interested in what you have to say.
Yeah, it's like they're subconsciously creating this welcoming space, inviting you in.
Exactly. And then on the flip side, you have closed off body language.
Yeah.
So like crossed arms, leaning away.
Yeah.
That can signal, well, maybe they're not interested or they're feeling a little uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was reading this study and it said that couples who are really connected, they often mirror each other's body language.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. They subtly copy each other's posture, gestures, even their breathing.
Wow.
It's like their bodies are trying to sync up, to be on the same wavelength.
That's a perfect example of how attraction can work on so many levels, consciously and unconsciously. And it's interesting, when we're attracted to someone, we tend to need less personal space.
Oh, like that proxemics thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
yeah.
feel totally comfortable being closer to them physically.
Okay, so if someone seems to be kind of gravitating toward you, maybe even brushing against you, like accidentally,
Yeah.
maybe it's not so accidental after all.
Could be testing the waters.
Exactly, seeing how you react to their presence. So speaking of testing the waters, let's talk about laughter.
Okay.
We all know it's a sign of joy, right?
Yeah.
But it can also be this super powerful way to build connection.
Absolutely.
Our sources say that when someone's attracted to you, they tend to laugh more easily. Even at jokes, they might not usually find that funny. It's all about creating this shared sense of enjoyment, like building that rapport and just feeling comfortable around you.
Definitely.
I've totally been there. It's like suddenly everything's hilarious. And it's really cool. When we laughed with someone we're attracted to, our brains, they release endorphins. Those feel-good chemicals. So we're not only enjoying ourselves in the moment, but we're also connecting those good vibes with that person.
Yeah.
It's like a subconscious reward system or something.
Totally. It's fascinating, isn't it, how our brains are wired to connect us through laughter.
It is. I mean, it
Yeah.
makes sense, right?
Yeah.
When we feel good around someone, we're naturally drawn to them. But attraction, it's not all just fun and games.
Right. It really is. Like, our brains are amazing, but yeah, you're right. It's not all just surface level, right?
Right, exactly.
Our sources, they actually emphasize this, like genuine curiosity. That's a sign of like real deep attraction.
Oh, totally. It's like that wanting to actually understand someone, like really get to know them,
Yeah.
Like anyone can do small talk, but when someone's really curious about you, about your experiences, what you've been through, your dreams even, I mean, that's when you know they're really into you, the whole package.
It's like they see you past all the masks we wear, you know? Like they want to know the real you, the story behind it all, the stuff you might not tell just anyone, your hopes, even your struggles. And when someone asks those deeper questions, it can be so powerful.
Totally. It makes you feel seen, like someone actually gets you.
Exactly.
Like one of the sources, they were talking about asking about childhood memories.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're sharing this vulnerable part of yourself, and it takes trust to do that.
Yeah.
Like you have to really want to connect to get to that level. Have you ever had that? Someone asks about a childhood memory, and it just completely changes the conversation.
I have. It's crazy how these, like, simple questions, they can create so much intimacy.
Yeah, totally.
Like you said, it's like sharing a little secret, this glimpse into your past, what made you who you are. And when we're willing to be vulnerable like that, I think it builds trust, makes those connections stronger.
Like you're building a bridge between your world and theirs.
Exactly.
And, speaking of how we present ourselves, our sources also talk about this thing. It's like people make these little adjustments to how they look when they're attracted to you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's like that instinct to, put your best foot forward, even if it's totally subconscious.
Right.
Playing with their hair or fixing their clothes.
Yeah.
Maybe even checking their reflection to make sure they look okay.
Yeah, like, hey, I want to look good for you.
Exactly.
You know what's funny? Sometimes those little things, they can be kind of awkward, especially if they're a little nervous.
Oh, totally.
It's endearing, though.
It is. And that brings us to another interesting point. Nervous energy. All that, like, fidgeting.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people, they mistake that for, like, disinterest. But actually, our sources say it could be a sign of attraction.
Really?
Yeah. Like, they're so excited they can't contain it. So instead of seeing all those fumbles and blushes as awkward, maybe we should see them as kind of sweet. Like, someone's genuinely affected by us being there.
That's a good way to look at it.
It is, right. It's about realizing that attraction, it can make us all kind of clumsy, say the wrong thing, and that's totally normal, even charming. Like, in the animal kingdom, so many species have these crazy courtship rituals, all these displays and movements, maybe these little twitches and stuff. That's our version of a mating dance.
I love that.
Right.
Like our bodies give us away, even when we're trying to be all cool.
Exactly.
So, okay, we've talked about a lot. The power of eye contact, all that body language stuff, how laughter can bring us together, why curiosity is so important, how people preen, even how being nervous can be a good thing. It's like we're putting together this puzzle, figuring out how attraction really works.
And the crazy part is how these little things, these tiny behaviors we might not even notice, they can say so much about what we want, what we're feeling. It's like a reminder that attraction isn't always about these big pronouncements or gestures. It's often in those little details.
Like a secret language we all speak, even if we don't know it.
Yeah.
And the more we learn about those signals, the better we get at it, right?
Yeah.
Makes our connections deeper, helps us really understand each other. But even with all this knowledge, there's still this mystery to attraction, wouldn't you say?
Totally. It's like we can learn all the signs and all that, but there's still that, that spark, that thing you can't really explain.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so interesting, but also, I don't know, kind of frustrating sometimes.
Right. Like even when you think you've got it figured out, there's always something. Maybe you read a signal wrong or you overthink it, It just shows you how complex people are. Attraction, it's not a simple thing.
No, definitely not. It's more like a dance than a formula.
I like that.
Yeah, and sometimes you just gotta enjoy the music and see where it takes you.
So true. Thinking about all this, about all these signs we've been talking about, it makes me wonder, like, how does knowing all this change how we, approach dating or even friendships?
That's a good question. I think maybe it makes you more aware of yourself and of the other person. You start to pay more attention to those little cues, and maybe you're more conscious of your own body language too.
It's like you're not just waiting for something to happen. You can actually do something.
Exactly.
And maybe because of that, you feel more confident about making a connection. I like that.
Me too. And you know what else? Maybe this knowledge, it helps us be more understanding, more patient even when it comes to all this.
Like with relationships and stuff?
Yeah, because we've all been there, right? You get tongue-tied, you blush, you wonder if they feel the same way. It's all part of it.
It's like a universal experience. It's kind of nice in a way. So to wrap up our deep dive into all things attraction, here's a thought. Now that you know a little more about those signs, those little hints people give off, how do you think it'll change how you approach things? Will you be more tuned in, more confident, or just, maybe appreciate the whole dance a little more? It's up to you.
I love that. It's true. We're all connected by this
Yeah.
this web of attraction. And the more we learn about it, the better our relationships can be.
So well said. Go out there, observe, connect, and have fun. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.